What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on Buy Sell Cars TV. Today we're going to be discussing an Audi A3. So this is a purchase which I got from BCA auction, completely blind. The car's got no MOT, so a bit of a risk really, because there were a couple of advisories on the previous year's MOT. A couple of things that I'm going to need doing to the car, things which I expected, to be honest, but it's absolutely filthy. You're going to see that in a second when I show you the interior. But what we're going to do, we're going to drop the car off to the MOT garage. It's going to get serviced at the same time as well. So I thought I'd just make a bit of a video on this car, show you the procedure of getting this tired-looking Audi A3 cosmetically to making it a really, really nice car and getting it retail ready. So let's get on with the video and let's go check the interior of this car out. Right, it's starting to pour it down, so we're going to quickly go through the exterior of the car. First of all, overall condition on the outside is not too bad. When it's raining, it does sort of hide a couple of the imperfections, but overall, it's not too bad, to be honest with you. So we've got a couple of marks over here. I think that's just a bit of dirt or a bit of brown tape someone's had on the car for some reason. Not really too sure why that is. We've got a bit of trim missing over here, so it's worth me trying to source a part for that. Over on the rear quarter, we have got a little bit of marks over here, but I think a lot of that might be able to just T-cut out. If not, I might be able to just flatten that down a little bit and remove that, so it's not too bad. Going over to the back, the car's a bit dirty, so again, you can't really get a fantastic picture of the car, but it's not really too bad, to be honest. Someone's debadged the car as well. Over on this side of the rear quarter, again, little scratch over here. Should be able to T-cut that out. Most obvious thing is on this side, passenger door, we've got a bit of a, again, don't know if that's really gonna come out or not. Potentially can flatten that out. But overall, exterior-wise, not too bad, to be honest with you. Let's check the interior out. As you can see, the interior, absolutely horrendous. Really, this is not a nice place to be sitting, unfortunately. But when you do buy cars from BCA, this is something which you'll have to deal with. Not end of the world though, guys. You know, as filthy as this is and as disgusting as it is to sit in this car, this is something which I'm not concerned about because the condition overall is actually quite good. Yes, it's a filthy place to sit, but all of this will get rectified with the valet. So similar situation, not quite as bad, just a couple of marks on the seats, but again, all of this is going to get rectified with the valet, and you're going to see all of the difference with the before and afters later in the video, so stay tuned for that part. So what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to head over to the MOT garage, we're going to get the car tested, we're going to get it serviced and inspected, just to do these things to get the car ready for retail. But what we're going to do, we're going to head there, and on the way, let's have a little chat about the car, and we're going to talk about a couple of things which I'm going to get done to this car to get it retail ready. But stay tuned, guys, we've got a lot going on in this video, so I'll see you in a second. If you've watched all my videos before, you know I'm quite a big fan of these Audi A3s and Volkswagen Golf Mark 5s, cars of that sort of era. Reason that is, generally, for me anyway, I've found them to be very, very reliable, and repairs on these tend to be quite cheap and easy fixes. So I had one of these cars myself around 10 years ago or so, and I drove it 40,000 miles, and at the time as well, I think the car had done quite a bit of mileage anyway, and the only issue I had was a coil pack. So, you know, generally speaking, they are pretty reliable cars. Yes, you're going to get bad ones, I'm sure you are, but I like to just stick with, don't go with anything with crazy owners or, you know, patchy service history. But the thing is, when you are buying an older car, it's hard to find things that have got the full service history. You might find just the odd year here and there. With these cars as well, they tend to have the long life service, which is every 2 years. It depends on which oil you're using, but when you look through the service book on a lot of these cars, you'll see it's every 2 years. So don't be alarmed, that is just because it's a long life service. One of the things which you will need to watch out for, especially with these A3s, is they do two variants on the 1.6 engines. Again, it's something which I've mentioned in previous videos. So this is a 1.6 special edition. It's not your 1.6 FSI. Strangely, they're two different engines. They are ever so slightly different, but the main biggest difference is that the special edition is cam belt driven, whereas if you just go for the FSI, that is chain driven. So that's something you do need to be made aware of, because a lot of people do get confused and misled by what they see online. So if you are buying one of these to sell, you've got to factor that in, especially if you're buying from auction, because you don't get to see the service books and they don't really tell you online if the cam belt's been done or not. So it's a bit of a gamble in the sense of that $250 which you might have to spend on getting the cam belt done or not done. You need to factor that in when you are bidding on the cars. So that is just another thing to be made aware of. So I got this really cheap, guys. You know, it's a 54 reg, just done 116,000 miles. I can't exactly remember how many owners this car was, but I don't think it's a lot. I think it's 2 or 3 owners. It's got pretty good service history. It does obviously need a service now. The reason it went quite cheap, to be honest, is because of the MOT advisories from the year before. It does have quite a few advisories, but the way the car is driving, it feels pretty solid and tight.
hard to say, but you know, I think some of the things may have been rectified in the past year. I haven't got the paperwork to suggest that, but end of the day, I'm not going to know until the car gets MOT tested later on. So we're going to find out later on the video how that has gone. But either way, you know, because of the price I paid for the car, I've got a lot of margin to play with. And to be honest with you, I would have paid more for the car, even in the condition that it's in. And the price that I can advertise this car for really and truly is, you know, around the 250 mark. You know, it might sound expensive for a 54 plate car, but you'd be quite surprised. These Audi A3s do have quite a good premium, and you know, they're ULEZ cars now, very efficient on fuel, very reliable and well-built cars. So for that price, you're still getting a lot of car. So really and truly, we're going to find out later on in the video how much I need to get spent on the car. Things we know anyway, you know, I'm going to get it MOT'd, it's going to get serviced, it's going to need a valet. That's three things where we know money's going to need to be spent. There is another issue, it's an intermittent one, so the oil light comes on and off, but I've checked the oil and the oil level is perfectly fine. But, you know, it's something which you do find on old cars. And to be honest with you, I never go by the oil level that the computer says or the oil light. You should always check the oil yourself. You know, don't wait for the light to come on in the car. You should be checking your oil regularly. That isn't something which is, you know, a deal breaker when you're buying a car, but let's see what they say when it goes to the garage. So for now, we're going to drop this one to the garage, and then we're going to pick this video up once we've got the car back from its MOT test and service. It's going to head over to the valeters after, so stay tuned because it's going to be a transformation on this car. You're not going to want to miss it. So I'm going to see you in a couple of days.
Right guys, we're back from picking up the car from its MOT service and getting it valeted. Let me talk you through a bit about the MOT. So obviously dropped it there the other day as you saw. Good news, the car did pass straight away. Only had a couple of advisories, one being the tyre and CV boot related. So compared to last year, there was a long list of advisories. The good news is obviously a lot of those things have been repaired over the past year. A few of those were tyres as well. The car has had new tyres in the last year because obviously where they are close to the legal limit on the year before, chances are if you've done 8,000 or 9,000 miles, they're not going to be the same tyres, they had to have been replaced. And in this case, I've seen on the car, they are new tyres. Service-wise, obviously get the oil changed, get the filters changed. What I've done as well is I got the spark plugs changed because there's not a record of them being done. And it's not a big expense, however, it does play a vital part in the car running smoothly. So got that changed at the same time as well. Obviously after that, took the car, dropped it off to the valeters. Now, you know, don't need to walk you through the exterior of the car's the conditions, it is what it is. The car's clean on the outside, but the biggest difference is on the interior. It's had a big transformation, really does feel a lot cleaner and fresher inside, as expected. And I always push on this point how valeting a car really does add a lot of value. And it just completely changes the way the car feels inside. Whereas, because before, I didn't really want to sit in the car. It was really filthy. You feel dirty when you're sat in those cars. Genuinely don't know how some people drive cars in that condition, but you know, it is what it is. However, all of that has been changed now. It's been completely transformed. The car's fresh, it's clean inside. So rather than rambling on, let's go check the interior of this car. So as you can see, the interior has been transformed, if I'm honest. Compared to what it was before, it really does look a lot better. There was so much filth around the center console here. It really wasn't a nice place to sit. There was so much dirt as well trapped into the upholstery of this seat. And you know, you can really see that, you know, it looks like a nice clean place to sit. It's a lot more fresh and it's added a lot of value. Even the back of the car, if you remember, there was a couple of stains over here. They have all gone. Everything's looking nice and fresh compared to what it was before. And even the roof, there was a really bad mark over there. So they've tried the best they can do. And you know what, it's not that too noticeable anymore. You know, you can sort of see a bit of stains around it, but compared to what it was before, it's a lot better. So interior wise, thumbs up. It's a lot cleaner, it's added a lot of value. So I'm really happy with this one. So overall, I'm really happy about this purchase. You know, it was a bit of a risk buying this car with no MOT. It all comes down how much you're willing to pay for the car and how much you're potentially going to sell it for. Now for me, this worked out because obviously the car didn't have a failure with the MOT. It was pretty straightforward and easy getting it ready for sale. So for me, that potentially means I'm going to make more money on this car. But obviously I've done the sensible thing of factoring in that when it does go for an MOT, based on the fact that it had a lot of advisories from the year before, I might need to spend some money on this car. So all of that was factored in when I was buying this car. But really and truly, it was a good buy. Like I said, I like these cars. Audi A3s, Mark V Golfs from this era, They're very, very reliable. They drive really good as well. So it's a lot of value for someone who's looking to buy a second-hand car. So that's why I love buying these cars, to be honest with you. Not a crazy amount of things that go wrong with them as well. So they are pretty reliable overall. Good little cars to buy and sell. And to give you an idea of the costings as well, you know, I spent around £200 getting this car ready. What I'd done with that obviously was the cost of servicing it, MOT, and getting it valeted. So all of those things together, you know, it's only going to add value to the car. I don't see it as an expense in the sense of it's, you know, cutting into my margin, because if I'm spending that getting it ready for sale, really and truly having a car which is serviced, MOT'd and valeted, you can price point your car slightly higher than other ones, which might look a bit tired. So on that front, it's very, very good. But for now, guys, I'm going to end the video here. I hope it's given you a good understanding on, you know, taking risks with buying these types of cars without an MOT and getting them ready for sale. And just really take into account, it all comes down to the price you pay for the car when you're buying it, because that's where your profit is. But I hope that's come across on the video to give you a good understanding of the risk involved as well. But on that note, I hope you really enjoyed today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Take care, guys.